those who are asking for reparations for colonialism, and they're wondering, you know, $100 billion, $24 billion here and there, 500 million there. Some people want to be paid back, and members of the public are wondering, why are we suffering when you are, you know, you have all of this vast wealth? Those are legitimate concerns.
Well, I think you're right about reparations in terms of if people want it, though, what they need to do is you always need to go back to the beginning of a supply chain. Where was the beginning of the supply chain? That was in Africa, and when across the entire world, when the slavery was taking place, which was the first nation in the world that abolished slavery? The first nation in the world to abolish it. It was started by William Wilberforce, was the British. In Great Britain, they abolished slavery. 2,000 naval men died on the high seas trying to stop slavery. Why? Because the African kings were rounding up their own people. They had them on cages waiting in the beaches. No one was running into Africa to get them. And I think you're totally right. If reparations need to be paid, we need to go right back to the beginning of that supply chain and say, who was rounding up their own people and having them handcuffed in cages? Absolutely. That's where they should start. And maybe, I don't know, the descendants of those families where they died in the high seas trying to stop the slavery, that those families should receive something too, I think, at the same time.
It's an interesting discussion.
Not the answer he was expecting.
Don Lemon was definitely left speechless, and then he wonders why he was just demoted on CNN. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski here of WeAreChange.org, and a lot of people are left speechless in our current state of affairs, as it looks like the governor of Florida might be delivering more diversity, this time to Joe Biden's own vacation home. This, as of course, there's also a migrant crisis in Europe, where the conflict there is escalating very severely. Some surprising news about the psychological operations being implemented here in the United States, while of course right now in New York City, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the Clinton Global Initiative, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, the Gateses, and of course the representatives from CNN are all meeting together to discuss the next crisis. Lots of important things happening in this world, and we're going to be doing our best to try to understand it here on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, and the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast with the very bewildered, unsatisfied, and shocked Don Lemon is, of course, from CNN, their own broadcast, where Don definitely didn't get the answer that he was looking for when he brought up reparations. But don't worry, there's a new movie called The Woman King that will whitewash that entire history and totally make you forget about the true reality of the situation, while of course pushing woke propaganda ideas that absolutely have no basis in reality. Yes, there's literally a new movie, The Woman King, that we're hearing will be whitewashing the accurate history that of course was described by this Don Lemon guest. And not surprisingly, this movie is getting rave reviews by the corporate media and Rotten Tomatoes, even though the specific empire that they're going to be, quote, creating this movie on was the empire that fought to keep the slave trade alive while, of course, conducting human sacrifices. And will this film accurately depict that? Probably not. In related, the liberals saying, oh crap, news, we're getting information that the same plane used by the governor of Florida to send in diversity to Martha's Vineyard is also now currently scheduled to travel from San Antonio, Texas to Florida to a small airport near Biden's personal vacation home in Delaware. This, as it looks like, there will be a special delivery of diversity and immigrants right inside of Biden's home state in what looks like the next possible stunt by the governors of Texas and Florida that are sharing their lived experiences with, of course, some of the wealthiest, most powerful people in the United States that have been calling for more immigration, and the local governments of Texas and Florida will deliver that to them personally right outside of their doorsteps. All of this has been very captivating to watch, as of course many people are satirically responding that this will be the official response by the current president of the United States.
No, don't.
And that's probably true, as of course it's also important to note here that the Biden administration, under their immigration policy, has been shipping immigrants all throughout the United States on buses and planes using tax dollars, specifically to some of the poorest states in this country. But when the governor of Florida and Texas do it, for some reason there's big upheaval about it. As of course, Congress members like AOC is comparing what they're doing to, quote, crimes against humanity, when in reality she's calling out policies that literally have been normalized and practiced by her own political party for the last few years. And this is represented perfectly by comedian Dave Smith, who said, quote, "The progressive elites advocate for policies that they never have to suffer the consequences of, and the one time they do, it ends quickly," end quote. And he definitely makes a very good point there, as of course the hypocrisy is becoming only more apparent by the day through, of course, these large PR stunts that are literally implementing the policies that these people have called for. Now, shifting focuses here a little bit in related propaganda and disinformation news, it looks like social media was being used by the U.S. military-industrial complex, a part of a larger psychological operation. This as today, Facebook just officially removed accounts that were suspected of running U.S. military operations on the American people in a clandestine psychological operation. Yes, there was an official report released talking about fake U.S. military linked accounts that were promoting certain narratives and agenda, a part of larger psyopses that even were too egregious for big tech social media, which actually removed and deleted this accounts. This is also from the reporting that we're getting from the Washington Post. What kind of psychological operations were American people subjected to under these fake accounts? Well, we still don't know yet, but the Pentagon is promising a sweeping investigation, which is probably going to cover up the larger extent of what's happening here. In related psyops and propaganda news, today we're also finding out that 4 regions in Ukraine will be holding referendums and votes on becoming part of Russia. This, of course, is an initiative by the Russian government. This, as of course, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has been pushing for a unifying international agenda that would most likely annex large parts of eastern Ukraine. This, as in the making of this video, Vladimir Putin will soon be making a statement and a national address, which is going to be a major speech, which most likely is going to announce some major changes to their, quote, limited military operation. And as of course we know, it's not limited. Will he declare this an official war? Will there be a national war mobilization? Will there be a draft? Well, only time will tell, but we're going to be looking at this story very closely, as of course it will have global implications. If there's enough time, we're going to be covering that update plus many more updates on LukeUncensored.com, our very own platform where we get to say and do whatever we want without any major large censorship or silencing of independent voices. There's so much to get into, so much that we can't show you, so much propaganda, so much weaponized information, lots of very important things to get into, as of course we prioritize the best information that we could provide you so you make the most important decisions in your life in the middle of the 5th generational warfare that of course we are all entrapped in and there's no escaping from. Along with being a member, you get 3 masterclasses, an exclusive forum to talk and meet other like-minded members in your local community, exclusive merchandise that is only available at cost for members, exclusive access to upcoming events, meetups, meet and greets, you name it. You get all the value that we do our best to provide you on LukeUncensored.com. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? It's just 50 cents a day. Click the link down in the description below and sign up right now. It's very easy. You have any questions, you have any problems, email us right now, dave@wearechange.org, and we will help and fix whatever problem you have with a very fast response. We're hiring people to build up this platform, and there's going to be a lot of really cool, fun projects that we're going to be working on in the not-so-distant future, specifically all on LukeUncensored.com. See you there for another exclusive video right after this one. Now, in the making of this video in New York City, we are seeing the conglomeration of a lot of extremely powerful people coming together for many big conferences that, of course, should be on everyone's radar. We, of course, have the UN General Assembly. We, of course, have the Clinton Global Initiative Ponzi scheme. And, of course, one of the biggest meetings that is new and happening right now is, of course, the World Economic Forum Climate Crisis Meeting, which, of course, will feature participants from BlackRock, Jeff Bezos's groups, CNN, Al Gore, and many other powerful organizations in this world who definitely do not have your best interest at heart. Now, why is the World Economic Forum meeting with the world leaders coming to New York City? Well, of course, this is the perfect time to push their agenda and narrative, to meet with the world leaders one-on-one, and to manipulate, incentivize world leaders to, of course, push their policies, which essentially amount to people not owning anything, not having any privacy, and, quote, being happier than ever. That's the official World Economic Forum agenda, a vision that they have for 2030, essentially prioritizing people living in pods, eating bugs, having no personal freedom, having no privacy at all, having no wealth at all, and many think their vision is far-fetched, but when you look at our current reality, it's not that far from what people are already dealing with, especially in major urban environments like in New York City. The apartments are small, the food is trash, lots of it linked with nasty seed oils that, of course, are inflammatory and bad for your health, as people work dead-end corporate jobs that give them no life purpose or meaning, away from nature, away from source, essentially feeding the beast that these multinational corporations and globalists are all building, all under the guise of helping the climate. Now, this meeting is something that we should be keeping a careful eye on. I'm personally watching a lot of the developments and a lot of the conferences to see what these people are talking about, as, of course, a lot of the things that the World Economic Forum talks about usually prophesizes the larger changes and problems that are coming in our society that they have a knack of calling out before they actually happen. Coincidence? I don't think so. Now they're talking about how the food and energy crisis are connected, and they are. This is why we have also seen very deliberate policies by this current administration inside of the White House that has been limiting the amount of energy that people could have. This, of course, is going to be correlated with the amount of food people could have, creating artificial scarcity, which will create an excuse for top-down centralized governments to, of course, crack down on humanity, civil rights, and the ability of human beings to act freely, because during emergencies, during scarcities, during crises, as, of course, very powerful globalists are using this opportunity to buy up the national resources, the land, to, of course, benefit off of the artificial scarcity that is being manipulated and created. Bill Gates has been buying a whole bunch of land that, of course, very interestingly, he is not implementing sustainable farming policies on, as, of course, he is a major curator of fake meat, soy. He's one of the biggest backers and supporters of Monsanto and glyphosate, essentially being one of the biggest investors, one of the biggest pushers, one of the biggest backers of GMOs that, of course, have wreaked havoc in places like in India, which he has yet to face full ramifications for doing. And very interestingly, Bill Gates was also highlighted recently on MSNBC, specifically even bragging how he told the President of the United States at the time, Donald Trump, not to launch an independent investigation into the effects of a medicine that, of course, he is heavily invested in a procedure that, of course, he is heavily invested in, and Donald Trump at the time listened to him, didn't create this independent investigation to find out what actually was happening in our medical field, and even went as far as to offer Bill Gates a position in his cabinet. Yes, the former President of the United States took orders from Bill Gates, instituted the policies that he wanted, and prevented any kind of legitimate transparency and investigation into his businesses that the majority of his wealth is in. These are the types of people right now meeting inside of New York City with politicians, presidents, prime ministers, and leaders of the supposed free world that, of course, are going to be taking their orders from these individuals like the good puppets that they are. And this is why the World Economic Forum, the Clinton Global Initiative, are all meeting when the United Nations is welcoming the leaders of the free world. According, to my own personal opinion. That's just my perspective. That's just where I come from. That's what I personally see. What do you see? What do you think is the reason that these meetings are all happening all at the same time inside of New York City? What's your theory about what's going on here? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you thought my thesis was wrong, let me know why down in the comment section below. If you want me to stop screaming, also let me know down in the comment section below. This is just my voice. I get very passionate about this stuff, and I think sometimes we need to yell. We need to get loud. We need to talk to each other in a real way without any kind of filters, without any kind of manipulation. And this is just me trying to be the truest version of myself. If you thought I did a good job at presenting the information that I presented today, share this video with your friends and family members. It is more imperative, more important than ever. And if it wasn't for you guys doing that, I wouldn't be here. I'm only here because of you, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org. One more video right now available for you on lukeuncensored.com. See you there.